After these talks, I feel very humbled and small comparing to all these amazing women that already spoke here. I will try my best to not bore you. And I know that I'm the only thing between you and lunch, so this is like the very weird thing, a very weird place to be. But I will do a little bit. I will talk a little bit more about myself. So I'm Inés. I'm 26 years old, and over the past 5 years, I built a number of organizations related to entrepreneurship and digital entertainment. So two areas very different, but for some reason I end up working in both. I co-founded Statup Pirates. That is one of the most international startup programs in Europe. As Anna mentioned, we are in 20 countries, 40 cities from around the world, and we are basically one of the biggest and fastest growing organizations in this area. I also co-founded, as you can see here, a startup exchange program, startup tour, Portugal startups, and also Trojan Horse was a unicorn. That is one of the, I think, is the biggest and one of the most important events on digital entertainment in the world. I did all this because I tried to be involved in a lot of different organizations. I think I like to move fast and do a lot of things. But my story, I think, started much before this. So before joining university, I had one of these very normal and ordinary childhoods. I was born in a small city village next to Porto, to a middle class family, and I basically had 4 things. I used to do 4 things during those first years before joining college. So first, I used to study a lot. I actually studied more during this time than I ever did in college. In college, it was just moving fast and not studying that much. I read a lot, and I read a lot, and I still do. Reading is one of my big passions. I love to learn, and this is like a way to feed my appetite for information. I also like to play soccer or football. So this is like my other thing. Usually people say, especially when I was in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, I would say to people that I was a good student, so they would tell me, so you are terrible at sports. Which was actually not the case. I was very good at sports because especially I love play football, but I can play almost anything, except but not things these things usually people girls usually do
ballet.
No, I actually did ballet. But I did ballet a long time ago actually. But aerobics and things like that. Exactly. Those things I'm actually horrible at. And the last thing that I used to do is play video games. So I love PlayStation and Game Boy. So my brother was the one receiving these as presents, and I was actually the one playing them. So basically, I think these 4 things didn't make me necessarily popular. I was kind of nerdy and geeky. And basically, I didn't show any entrepreneurial skills whatsoever. So especially until I joined university, I was a very regular girl. I loved to learn, but nothing else. But I was also very influenced by 3 people. So my father, my mother, and my grandmother showed me the value of hard work. They are amongst the hardest working people that I know. And I was able to witness their example and see everything that they do during their lives. And I think this was something that really helped me because of these examples, I always try to do more and more. And I knew that my job at this point was to study and be good at school. But then I think I carried that through my life in the different projects that I was involved. But then, moving this story faster, in 2010, I decided to do something that now I can see that changed my life. At the moment, I couldn't see exactly the impact that it would have, but I decided to go to attend a 3-week summer course at the London School of Economics on entrepreneurship and global leadership. I honestly don't necessarily know why I chose this course. I just know that I decided to go for it, and then two great things happened there. So on one hand, it was my first introduction to social entrepreneurship, something that became a passion of mine in the following years. And second, it was my introduction to the power of networks. So for the first time, I realized how important it is being surrounded by people that can really take you forward. Probably I had this experience before, but in there I really felt that the power of network and what it can do for you on a very positive level. Basically what happened there was the assistant professor of my course was Christian Busch, is an English guy that co-founded a Swiss organization called Sandbox Network. And Sandbox basically was a global network at the time of 300 people from all around the world and the 30 that would be doing like exceptional things. We are talking about people like artists, social entrepreneurs, whatever you want to call them. But they were people that in their fields, they were really doing something amazing. And I had the chance to meet 2 or 3 people from this network during that summer course, and I felt really, really inspired by them. One of the things that you need to learn about me is that I think is a good characteristic, but sometimes is also a little bit weird, is like I'm really obsessed about things. Obsessed, not like, it's not like unhealthy, but sometimes I will obsess a lot about things. It can be an organization, it can be like a topic, like for example, most recently, I became obsessed about design thinking. So I thought, this is amazing, this is going to change the world, or it's changing the world, right? I'm not sure. And so I became obsessed about it. But also with Sandbox, I became obsessed with Sandbox, and I tried to understand what they were doing, who they were, why they were doing it. Try to see if I could meet some of them, follow them on social networks, and I realized that this could be a very interesting place for me to start my career. Imagine a place where we'll go and your job would be to spend the whole day talking with amazing people from around the world and trying to help them some way. So it seems like a dream job. So basically a few months later, I was very lucky to see that they opened a position for community management, an internship. I applied, I was able to get selected, and then I moved to Zurich. So this we are talking about in June 2011, I finished my college degree. I studied management here at the University of Porto. Then in July, 25th of July, I moved to Zurich for 7 months. I didn't know what to expect. I was definitely not ready for what actually happened. I moved to a new country, very different from Portugal. I didn't know anyone there, but so I was able to adapt, work hard, and try to make most of my experience there, travel a lot, and basically, most importantly, develop a mindset that will help me, or a global mindset that will help me then scale the organizations that I was working on. So basically, this all happened. Besides my work, it's very interesting because one of the things that I found about Zurich, it was like a very boring city. I think Julie can actually agree with me. So what happened while I was there, like besides my full-time job at Sandbox, I was able to create 2 other organizations. So I organized the first Ignite Zurich, that is an event that still happens there, and then I organized the first Zurich Girl Geek Dinner. So I put together a group of girls for us to meet girls that like technology, and this organization still exists today. So it was like a very busy for a busy 7 months for me there. But then one of the things that they realized, like this shouldn't stop there. So after these 7 months, I keep on meeting more people. Meeting people like from all around the world. I travel a lot, and I decided to see what we can do here together. But one of the things that I realized that we together can like really basically change the world, and this was my opportunity to also work with these women, or basically in different groups and different networks, and try to see what we can do together. Moving forward. I think it's very important to say, like, one of the things that when I was preparing this presentation, I kept on remember Steve Jobs' Stanford commencement speech in 2005. Of course, I'm not comparing myself to Steve Jobs. I was always stuck with me for something that he said. He said, like, looking back, it's super easy for us to connect the dots, to see that the decisions that we made actually were the right ones or the wrong ones. But when we are doing them, we usually don't know. So looking back, it's very easy for me to say, like, going to the London School of Economics or doing my internship at Sandbox were the right decisions to do. but actually for me at the time it just felt like it was like leaps of faith. So it felt like I was risking comfort, I was risking safety for the unknown. But it's also very important for us to understand that at these moments, usually we don't look at them as like the moments that are going to change our lives, but the moments that are part of our lives, sometimes that we need to risk. And as a lot of people said this morning, like we need to step away from our comfort zone and try and see what's happening there. And this experience basically taught me three main things. On one hand, I feel that it's very important that we showing up is 80% of success. I like to say this because you all decide to be here, but you could have decided to be somewhere else. You decide to be here today surrounded by people that you don't know, surrounded by people that you might never meet again, but you decide to share this experience with others. And over the years, I make sure that I attended hundreds of events, big and small. I travel a lot to make sure that I was close to the people that inspired me and close to the people that I could actually make an impact on. Another thing that I think is very important for us is like when you meet someone, we need to try to add value to them. And that's something that I think I always try to do. Sometimes it can be an intro, making a connection, or making a suggestion, giving an idea. But I felt that it's always very important for us to, when we meet someone, to add value. Sometimes it already happened to me that I was meeting someone for the first time, and I was being so positive and so giving that people start to feel suspicious. Honestly, I was just trying to, the way I am, I just try to make connections between people and different things. Not always happens, because sometimes I also have my bad days. But on a good day, if you meet me, I will try to add as much value as possible. And the third thing, and it's also is very important, is like we always need to make sure that we don't under-deliver. So over the years, I said yes to a lot of different things, and that's what brought me here. But sometimes I actually should have said no. And what this means is like we sometimes, because we are so excited, we really want to be part of something, we say, yes, I want to do something, yes, I want to help you, yes, I want to be part of this. But then we realize that, unfortunately, we can deliver what we promise. And that's one of the biggest regrets of my life. I really feel them, and I feel like, oh, I should have said no. And I'm still learning to say no. This, I think, is an ongoing process. But this is one of the things that I've learned. And finally, I think before going to lunch, we are almost there, don't worry. I have like a final story that I'd like to tell you. In 2009, after spending almost 3 years working in an organization called FEB Junior Consulting, that is a junior enterprise inside the University of Porto, I decided it was time for me to do something new. I think every now and then we all feel like, okay, we have done all this for some time, let's try something new. Sometimes we actually can make that happen. In my case, I was very lucky because by then I was one of the three managing directors of the organization, and basically I had a deadline for my job to finish, so I was very lucky with that. And basically I decided, okay, it's time for me to do something else. And I didn't know what to expect, but I did something that is very, then was very uncommon. So I decided to tweak this. So I said like, oh, I'm looking for something new, can anyone help me? It's very important to say like Twitter now is quite big, but in 2009, almost no one was using it. I think this was my third or fourth tweet, so I was not very active. But there was a guy that actually answered me. And this guy is a tech entrepreneur from Porto called Tiago Matos, and he said like, come to my office, let's meet and see what we can do. I went there, I didn't know him. We have a nice conversation. I started working with him on an event called Barcamp, and then and basically that was my introduction to technology and entrepreneurship. It wasn't like a big thing. I knew that I wanted to do something with entrepreneurship and technology, but it was like just this random meeting followed by other events that actually got me into technology. I started organizing events. This was my first, a 40 people event on entrepreneurship and technology, then followed by another and another and another. And suddenly I was working in this area. This was my life, working on entrepreneurship. I met, or I already know, most people in Portugal and in Europe working on this field, and I was able to, because of this scale, Statup Pirates to a global position, basically. So what I think my last message here is that I know that sometimes it feels scary to be here with so many people that we don't know, but we never know what can happen in places like this and in other places. So I think this is like what helped me during these years was like I started and then I kept on going, and that's my advice to you. I think you should start doing things and then keep on going. Thank you very much.